Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 9, text 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam tute guhyatamam pravakshyami anasuyave gnanam vijnana sahitam yagnatva mokshasya shubhat. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, said, O Arjuna, now I am going to tell you the most confidential knowledge. Te, unto you, idam guhyatamam pravakshyami. This most confidential knowledge, I'll tell you. Because you are anasuyave, you are not envious of me. And what is this knowledge? This knowledge, gnanam, along with realized knowledge, vijnana sahitam, and knowing which, yagnatva, mokshyase asubhat, you will be liberated from all these ashubhas of this material existence. Or in other words, the Supreme Lord said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most secret wisdom, knowing which you shall be relieved of all the miseries of material existence. So, Krishna wants Arjuna to hear this knowledge from the authority. Hearing the knowledge is very important. And Prabhupada mentions that as a devotee hears more and more about the Supreme Lord, he becomes enlightened. This hearing process is recommended in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, the transcendental process of Krishna consciousness is achieved simply by hearing, like you are all doing. Hearing is so nice. The messages of Krishna are so nice. Krishna Katha is so attractive. The message about Atma Gnana is so attractive. Because there are so many things which people hear on a daily basis. Shrotavyadini Rajendra Nrinam Santi Sahasrashah Apashyatam Atmatattvam Griheshu Gruhamedhinam. For those who are Gruhamedhis, those who are attached to home and family and these bodies, they have so many topics to hear every day. But the same thing repeats. The newspaper is replete with the same information we see every day. The news channels, the televisions, the programs are centered around eating, sleeping, mating, defending. But once one hears about Krishna, the topics of Krishna consciousness, one becomes very attracted, provided they hear from the right authority, provided they hear in the association of devotees. Unfortunately, we have so many bogus gurus, mental speculators who spoil the message of Krishna and who misrepresent Krishna, who bring disrepute to the spiritual disciplic succession. So it has to be a bona fide association. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha tadjoshanaadasu apavargavartmani shraddharatir bhaktir anukramishyati. So this Mama Virya Samvido, the Samvida, the topics about Krishna, the knowledge about Krishna, it is very, very potent. Just like Viryam. Viryam means semen. Just like the man injects the semen into the woman and she becomes pregnant with a child. So similarly, this Viryam, Mama Virya Samvido, the potent Krishna knowledge, when it is heard in the association of devotees, spoken by the bona fide authority, it has the potency to inject Krishna into the listener. So then gradually, Tajjoshanat, by cultivation of that hearing, Asu Apavarga Vartmani, one progresses very quickly in this path of Apavarga. In this world, people are all traveling on the path of Pavarga. What is Pavarga? So we have this Sanskrit language where there are vargas. Pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. Like that, different vargas are there. Pavarga is pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. Parishrama, lot of endeavor. Phena, by which we even get foam out of mouth. Bandhana, for which we are doing this parishrama, hard work, is because of our bandhas of this world. And bhyardata, and all of that becomes eventually waste, futile. Parabhavastavad jato. It comes to an end. None of that will help me at the time of need or at the time of death. Nobody can help me, which is the last stage, which is marana, mrityu. So this is the typical pavarga path people travel. But Krishna consciousness, particularly this hearing process, takes us out of that pavarga, which is called apavarga. So one travels quickly on this path of apavarga, apavarga vartmani, and as a result, shraddha, ratir, bhaktir, anukramishyati. We develop faith in these messages, we develop attraction to Krishna, and then engage in pure devotional service to Krishna. So this is the power of hearing process. And when once Prabhupada mentions that when one is thus engaged in Krishna consciousness, Krishna gives him the intelligence to understand the signs of Krishna in the association of devotees. So, Lord Krishna, in order to encourage Arjuna to higher and higher elevation in his potent service, describes in this ninth chapter matters more confidential than he has already disclosed. So, this is Guhyatamam, the most confidential than any knowledge which has been disclosed so far. So there is degrees of knowledge, confidential, more confidential, and most confidential. So what is confidential? The knowledge present in the second and third chapters. The spiritual knowledge, talking about Atma and how one should engage in one's duties and give the result to Krishna. That is called confidential knowledge. And seventh and eighth chapters contain more confidential knowledge. They bring enlightenment in Krishna consciousness. But chapter the matters in this chapter are most confidential knowledge. And one who is situated in such most confidential knowledge has no material pangs, although he is in the material world. So this is one feature of devotional service where when one gets this knowledge, the threefold miseries of material existence don't exist for such person. The first symptom of devotional service is that it eradicates this miseries of material existence. Because where there is light, there is no darkness. The miseries of material existence is because of our ignorance. Because of our ignorance, we commit so many mistakes. We perform so many sinful acts. If somebody is ignorant about driving on the wrong side, then he will commit that mistake. And if he is corrected, he will no more do it. And similarly, when we are ignorant about what to eat, what not to eat, we get into disease, we get into obesity, So many problems, health problems. The moment we become knowledgeable, we act according to knowledge and keep the body in check. So, because Krishna is that light, is that knowledge, he removes that ignorance and the miseries of material existence get extinguished for a devotee. And importantly, here Krishna is mentioning about one disqualification and qualification of Arjuna. Disqualification of somebody who cannot understand this most confidential knowledge, and because of having not having that disqualification, Arjuna became qualified to understand that knowledge, and that is anasuya or asuya. Asuya is the enviousness, and because Arjuna has anasuya is not envious of Krishna, he became qualified to receive this most confidential knowledge. That means any living entity, as long as he remains envious of Krishna, he cannot get this confidential knowledge. So one might say, even when one comes to devotional service, one might say, oh, I'm not envious of Krishna. I may be envious of one or two people here and there occasionally, but I am not envious of Krishna. I am devotee of Krishna. So there was this family which has two children. So the father rewarded the first child with a, those geometry boxes we get in those days. He has done well in his class, and then he was rewarded with that. But the second child was not given anything, so he became very unhappy. So the next day, the children returned from home, and this first child has a bandage on his head. And then the mother becomes quite perturbed. She comes running and asks what happened. And then he's silent. And then both the kids are silent. And so somehow she goes and inquires and finds that this younger son, he has hit the older son with a rock, with a stone. And then it has started to bleed. And then he was addressed and sent home. And then she goes and asks the younger child, why did you hit your brother? And he says, because he's got the geometry box I did not get. And then she says, don't you like your brother? No, I don't like him. Why? Because he has got the geometry box. But your father only gave him, he didn't grab it from you. You don't like your father? No, I like my father, but I don't like him. I don't like my brother. So actually, he has enviousness of his father. He did not like the fact that his father favored his elder brother because he got good marks. He did not like the fact that his father rewarded his brother more than him, and his brother is enjoying more than him. So the point is, we being envious of somebody, it doesn't matter if they are bhakta or abhakta or an ordinary soul, doesn't matter. We being envious of somebody amounts to being envious of Krishna, because we did not like the fact that Krishna sanctioned these good things to them, these enjoyable things to them. This is enviousness of Krishna. An advanced devotee, he thinks everybody is given what they are enjoying. Actually, in this world, this enjoyment is illusory enjoyment. So if one gets some things by which we think they are enjoying, a good house, good position, good service, Who knows what they are struggling? They have their own, everybody has their own struggles. This material world, the miseries are common for everyone. One misery may be existing for you, different misery may exist for somebody. As long as they remain in this material world and think they're actually enjoying with that what is bestowed by God, they are in illusion, and you think they are enjoying, you are also in illusion. And unnecessarily we become envious of the living entities and envious of Krishna. The reason why we came to this material world from the spiritual world is because of that enviousness of Krishna. Why Krishna is the center? Why Krishna is enjoying? I want to be like Krishna. And because of that mentality, we cannot tolerate anybody enjoying more than me. I should have been enjoying more. I should have been praised more. So we have to rectify. As long as we don't rectify, we cannot go back to Godhead. We cannot appreciate Bhagavad Gita, because Bhagavad Gita is full of glory of Krishna, the position, the superior position of Krishna, and our position as the servant of Krishna. So if we remain envious, we cannot appreciate that. We have to understand constitutionally how we are a tiny fragment. We cannot be like Krishna. So there was this family, wife and husband. They're living in a small house. So one day this wife sees the neighbor. They've ordered a big TV and the TV has come and delivered, and they've installed that in a visible position. Neighbors can all see. And then this wife became so jealous and she started to pester the husband. See, they've bought this TV. And the husband stayed silent. And every day she is pestering, you're not doing anything to me. And again, after a few days, they've bought a good car, much better than what they have, what these people have. Again, she started to pester the husband. So every few weeks, every few months, something is happening to the neighbors, and she is pestering, you're not doing anything to me. See how they are enjoying, how she is enjoying. And so the husband decided to do something about it. So the next day, he brought her a small cup and started serving, nice, you know, flavored coffee, whatever, herbal coffee, caffeine free, whatever you may think. And then she started to enjoy. Oh, finally, my husband is learning. And the next day, the husband again brought something else. She's even more happy. What did he bring? He brought her even bigger cup, bigger glass, very attractive. And then again, he made her fresh coffee and gave her. And she drank and she was very happy. Oh, now my husband is learning. And the next day, again, he kept on doing bigger and bigger. And that to the extent that he bought a big jar and then he poured the coffee. And now she said, okay, had it enough. Are you losing it? Are you losing your mind? The husband said, why? I'm giving you more and more enjoyment. Why don't you take it? She said, are you foolish? How can you have a coffee of this size? Nobody can have coffee of this size. There is a limit to everything. Just because I asked for enjoyment doesn't mean you give me something which I cannot enjoy. And then the husband said, that's your lesson. That's for you to learn. The living entity, as a living entity, as a tiny fragment, infinitesimal part and parcel of the Lord, our enjoyment ability is very, very tiny. Like you have a plant outside your house. So you can pour a small cup of water. But if you keep on pouring water, because water gives life to the plant, water gives enjoyment to the plant, water gives nutrition to the plant. If you keep on pouring more and more, what will happen? That same thing which feeds the plant becomes the source of misery. Why? Because there is only a limit the plant can enjoy, beyond which it turns into poison. So our constitutional position is very limited. If we think, oh, somebody has that enormous, just like this wife is thinking, oh, she's enjoying, the neighbor is enjoying. No, she is in illusion, the neighbor also is in illusion. How much ever bigger house you have, you can only eat a little bit of food for every meal. If you overeat, indigestion, disease, all these four things that we do: eating, sleeping, mating, defending. There is a limit beyond which it turns into poison. But we all want to enjoy unlimitedly. Why? Because we are imitating Krishna, who is real unlimited enjoyer, because of lack of knowledge, this sublime knowledge. Krishna as Jagannath in Jagannath Puri, he is given 56 items every day. Chapan Bhog. All these items are brought to Krishna in their pots, big, big pots offered to Krishna. Krishna takes all of that. During Annakot festival, Krishna in the form of Govardhan consumed the whole offerings they brought for the whole village. So how much can we eat? Krishna maintained 16,108 wives in Dwaraka. And it's not that he was struggling to be with them every day, every night, sharing with them. No, he expanded into 16,108 forms and was there simultaneously with all of them. And what to speak of 16,000? Innumerable wives he can have because he can expand his enjoyment limit. There is no limit to his enjoyment ability, whereas we have a limit. That's why Krishna says, Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkhayonaya evate. If your life is centered around enjoying like Krishna without understanding our limitation, it leads to dukkha. If our life is focused on how we can gratify ourselves, it will lead to dukkha. But if we understand this knowledge and focus our life on how to gratify Krishna's senses and get the prasadam happiness, then our life is happy. We also need happiness, but how much we need, Krishna knows. A pure devotee knows. We need eating, sleeping, mating, defending, but how much we know, Krishna, whatever Krishna bestows, you take it. Don't aspire to enjoy separately from Krishna. Just like the teller in the bank. Whatever is getting deposited in the bank, if he starts to enjoy, he is liable to be punished. And he'll be punished. He'll face all kinds of troubles. But if he gives it back to Krishna, because the bank is the real enjoyer, and the bank gives him the rightful salary, and he enjoys that salary, whatever is needed for him, it is taken care. See how beautifully when you serve Krishna in Krishna consciousness, Krishna takes care of you, you're providing for Krishna, and Krishna provides for you. This is called anasuya. Asuya means why Krishna is enjoying, I have to enjoy. Anasuya means Krishna is the real enjoyer. I am only a tiny enjoyer. I get the enjoyment, unlimited enjoyment, by supplying enjoyment to Krishna. So this is both simultaneously a disqualification and a qualification. If you have asuya of Krishna, it's a big disqualification. If you are anasuya, just like Arjuna, it is a big qualification. And then Prabhupada also clarifies that idam gnanam idantute guhyatamam gnanam vijnanam. This knowledge refers to what is this a mundane education? Knowledge about learning this world or how to perform the tasks of engineer or learning about medicine, rockets. Is this mundane knowledge? No. This knowledge refers to the sublime knowledge of pure devotional service, consisting of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. These nine things, these by practice of nine, these are considered this knowledge. And by practice of these nine elements, one is elevated to Krishna consciousness. And then one can understand the science of Krishna. So there's gulf of difference between the mundane knowledge and this knowledge. By mundane knowledge, what is happening? We are becoming more and more entangled in this material world. Avidya sab mayar vaibhav. Mundane education is considered as avidya. Means the more and more you acquire, it is like the covering of your real self. Because mundane education means thinking we are this body and bodily happiness is my happiness. And that is avidya, isn't it? So the real knowledge is devotional service, which makes us truly independent. By mundane knowledge, we are becoming dependent. Just like Prabhupada gives the example. A dog, there is a, in US, the dogs are very privileged. There is no street dog. The dog which is cared for by the master is a very fortunate dog. Whereas in India and some of the other countries, there are many street dogs. Very unfortunate situation. Stones are pelted, no proper shelter, no proper regular food. So the mundane education, Prabhupada puts in a very stern words, is making us like dogs, meaning unless we get a master to give us a job, we don't have shelter, we don't have anything, isn't it? But spiritual education doesn't make us dogs. Of course, we are servant of Krishna in that sense, but we are independent of this material dependence because Krishna takes care of us. So that is the difference between material education, which is avidya, and spiritual education, which is vidya. Let's stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments? Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.